All right. Later than I planned, but still managed to actually get out a prediction video before the next chapter. I don't know. I keep forgetting lately. I've been very distracted. Either way, we'll get out to where personally I have a lot of interest in. And that is what Laxus's new skill is going to be. That's the thing that I'm most personally invested in the next chapter. We got a lot of important stuff going. Okay, obviously we've got, what they're going to do to deal with Skullion and Madmel versus Mirajane and Elfman. Still, for some reason, the cast are underestimating the power and skill and set of Madmel and Skullion, and overstating Mirajane. I don't think that Mirajane is nearly as powerful as they're making her out to be, but whatever. Do as you do and think as you think, their crew. I'm sure that, for them it's more of how they remember Mirajane versus how the strong Shaxx is, because Gray is definitely more powerful than her at this point. I mean, I would love to see a showdown of Gray versus Mirajane. It just ends really quick, and Gray's like, wow, I seem to have remember her to be a lot stronger than she actually is. But we're gonna hopefully get at least the start of the flashback of how Toka got possessed by the White Witch, find out maybe some information about her. I was thinking maybe some more about in-depth stuff about the White Witch, but we don't even know if Toka would have it. And Toka at least would have where exactly she got taken over by her. Maybe we find out she was sealed up until a point, or her last body, maybe it was a character that already exists, and it turns out they've been they were controlled by her throughout the entirety of the series. Maybe I don't know, just some random character that was a little bit fishy. Not too much, but who knows. The thing though that I'm very intrigued with, also Wendy versus Nebel, because it's a weird fight that I really want to watch. But Laxus's fight with Urza, right? So in all, I still think Jalal's gonna have to show up to help Urza, because I don't think Urza can defeat Laxus. I think he's too much for her. Maybe there's going to be something going on. It's maybe there's some aspect of being mind controlled by the White Witch will make Laxus different in some way that Urza can exploit, or maybe, because how powerful Laxus is, he's going to be able to kind of hold off her control for a brief moment for Urza to finish, to take him out, so, they can card him and take him out of the fight. If something like that doesn't happen, I don't see Urza beating Laxus. He's just too strong for her. But Laxus's new skill. So I am very intrigued to see what Laxus's new ability is, because unlike, with the main cast, we don't know when Laxus is going to have a fight again after this. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, who knows? Regardless, it'll be a bit of time. With Natsu and Gray and all them and Lucy, when are we going to get more of Lucy's Stardust mix? I mean, we could get it again this arc, just give her some time to recharge and then drop it again. But I mean, worst case scenario, we get it next arc during the next Dragon God. With Laxus, though, we don't know when the next time he's going to have a fight. But the question is, what exactly is Laxus' new skill? So there are things that he could have learned, something God Slaying, so he's going to have Lightning Dragon God Slayer, something neat like that, or Demon Slayer, some other Slayer to stack on top of it. Maybe just maybe he's gonna get True Dragon Force, not the Lacrima based Dragon Force that he had in the Fighting Festival arc, or what Cobra has, or what the Grand Magic Games Sting and Rogue had. Actual Dragon Force, there's if you go back and look at the power boost that Lacrima based Dragon Force gives, it's not even remotely significant compared to even artificial Dragon Force, either of the times Natsu got Dragon Force in Tower of Heaven and the Erasion Sei's arc. That's look at the amount of increase he got, or even Wendy when she went droid for the first time, Gacho when he got it for the first time. Lacrima based Dragon Force is not the same. There's Lacrima based, and then there's artificial. You're eating a high enough level of energy of your attribute to boost you up into being forced into Dragon Force, and then there's natural Dragon Force where you're able to do it on your own, and it's the actual level achieved, what Wendy and Natsu have. Though Natsu's is more of huge power output over a short period of time, and Wendy's is much more sustained. But regardless of which, Laxus could have that. Or just what I think would be really cool, because Laxus I think will be I would imagine he will be the next Guildmaster of Fairy Tail. And Makarov seemingly just as undying as he is, eventually he'll be gone, and the next Guildmaster I think logically should be Laxus. And so Laxus already has Fairy Law, But one of the things Makarov has, like on top of his giant magic, is he's got light magic, and we know that fairy magic is very light based. That Laxus could integrate that into his lightning, combine that aspect in it, because there are aspects of second generation Dragon Slayers that, like, look at Cobra. Cobra, on top of poison magic, had sound magic. He could hear into people's thoughts and stuff, and then we saw it in the Starry Sky arc. He ended up utilizing that into being more of a, on top of being a poison Dragon Slayer, he had sound manipulation, so, that weakness of his was gone. Laxus instead could integrate his, his other magics in his lightning magic, similar to how Gray integrated his ice magic, his ice magic into his demon slaying magic to enhance it to, pretty much be like a demon slayer ice weapon guy, which, was really cool. We didn't see a lot from, like, techniques from Silver outside of, his normal, like, breath attack. He mostly just used, like, large scale AoE and just, like, straight, like, ice attacks, raw ice attacks, whereas Gray has some techniques. But imagine this. Imagine that Laxus integrates Fairy Law into his lightning. So maybe like, oh, it's like way faster, it's way more potent, but he could use his AoE lightning in order to, damage areas, but just like how Fairy Law is, it would be spread and not hurting people in his group. And maybe because it's integrated through another magic, because we know one of the things about Fairy Law after, once Mavis gave it, described it in the Alvarez arc, is the more people use it on, the more it kind of, like, depletes your life force. But maybe because it's, being filtered, that it won't be your life force, it'll just be a huge magic and stamina drain. It's just hard to do. It's instead of life force, it's just a much higher drastic charge on magic and stamina. And it would be a cool way for Laxus to, advance, take that next step for it. Because obviously with Fairy Law and Law, that huge double edge about it is a pretty big double edge. It's a pretty important part of, like, when to use the spell. But for Laxus to be able to advance it, and Laxus, who, back in the Fighting Festival, the first one, was very much game for hurting people on his team, and he could do it, but through Fairy Law he couldn't, because he couldn't lie to that magic. And so it didn't work. He could use the straight lightning attacks and, like, physical force, but Fairy Law wouldn't hurt people that, he actually cared about. But that developing into a new way of work, he's not dying, he's not sacrificing himself in that same manner of straight, like, forefront sacrifice of life to protect others, but he's training himself much faster in order to defeat enemies, protect his allies, when we know he's had such a big step forward for his character over that whole matter. And, even like recently when he talked about how he has a lot of power, but his heart is weak because he's done a lot of reflecting on who he was and over his actions and whatnot, which would be really nice. I really look forward to seeing what Laxus' new skill is. I'm hoping it's not just a new Dragon Slayer attack. I mean, really, there'd be no point of bringing it up if it's just like a new technique. Maybe, it could be Lightning Dragon King mode or something. Who knows what Laxus will bring to the table, but that is the thing that I am most intrigued as, is what it is. So, other than that, comment below. Tell me what your thoughts about what you think Laxus will bring. I mean, again, any of the events I mentioned are worth talking about, but I'm very interested in seeing what Laxus has to show up, because, I mean, we haven't seen anything really from Laxus in a long time, and like I said, I really want to. I really want to see Laxus show up on the table and be able to present something to add to his character, not only in his arsenal, but also the development and progress of, his individual pathway and road. But other than that, thanks for comment below, thumbs up video, but from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. On that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.